Hi, this is Kimberley. This is a synopsis and a critique of Chapter 10 of My Daddy is a Hero, How Chris Watts Went from Family Man to Family Killer by Lena Derhally. The title of this chapter is I Couldn't Have Asked for a Better Man. The first sentence of this chapter is, quote, After the wedding, Shanann and Chris decided to move to Frederick, a suburb just miles outside of Denver, Colorado, end quote. Now, this is technically true. It is true. First thing I want to say about this chapter is Miss Lena does not provide dates. It's just a vague story. And we all know how I feel about vague. Well, let me rephrase that. She provides some dates, like Bella and Cece's birthday, but we all know how I feel about this. Of course, vague, my definition is when the author is sort of non-specific about whatever and whenever it is that they might or might not be talking about or communicating in an unfocused or imprecise way or what have you, unless it's not, which means at some point it may or may not be. You get my fucking drift? Confusing, right? Anyway, so I had to spend countless hours, because I get distracted, but countless hours researching shit and confusing myself. Now, I'm not senile or anything. Not yet, anyway. But as my mom used to say, may God rest her beautiful soul, but she would say, I've gotten myself at 6s and 7s. And I hope I've put this shit in some kind of damn logical sequence. I tried, damn it. So, this critique / synopsis is a mixture of my shit and her shit, her being Miss Lena Derhally. Okay, so let's start over. I'll start with her first sentence again. After the wedding, Shanann and Chris decided to move to Frederick, a suburb just miles outside of Denver, Colorado. After visiting friends in Colorado in November 2011, this is my shit now. After visiting friends in Colorado in November 2011, they, meaning Shanann and Halfwit, decided to move there. They lived with friends for a year while their house was being built. Jennifer Lindstrom said in the Discovery that when the Watts moved to Colorado from North Carolina, they lived with someone named Jeanne, Jeanne. I guess it's Jean, prior to moving into their home while their house was being built. I know at one point Shanann was still in North Carolina because she was selling her house and Chris had moved here and started working. But Jean, the person they lived with, her and her husband, I believe this is the woman that was a nurse, and Shanann nannied for them for a period of 4 months, and then they moved to Colorado. And then Pinhead said that she and Shanann had a falling out at some point a few years back, and he didn't know why, but they weren't speaking anymore. And I remember that from when I was doing the Letters from Christopher, Copycat, Contentious, Cadle, Chronic, Cadlegate clusterfuck controversy. The end result will be that some of this crap is out of order because I just gave the fuck up because that's what I do now when I'm overwhelmed. Because I can. I've given myself permission to do pretty much as I please, and I do. You can do that shit when you get older and you aren't raising kids and running on the non-stop gerbil wheel. But you wanted me to get this video published at some point, didn't you? So don't expect perfection from me. You will be severely disappointed. So, on October 18th, 2012 is when their realtor posted this picture. Apparently, I know it was Chris's name only on the loan, but they had purchased a lot in that subdivision to have their house built. Miss Lena said they moved for, quote, a change of scenery, to get away from family drama and to start a family of their own, end quote. From Discovery, I found that Frank Rusick said that Chris and Shanann moved to Colorado because the weather was better for Shanann's medical conditions. Frank Rusick also said that Chris quickly found a job in Colorado because he was a master mechanic and moved out before Shanann did. Shanann stayed behind because she had to sell a house that she owned in North Carolina, according to Frank. They built a house they could ill afford. That was my own little addition, but they really could not afford the massive 5-bedroom, 4.5 bath on that nice quiet street with beautiful views. Well, those beautiful views lasted until they started building more houses all around them within arm's reach. They got married in North Carolina on November 3rd, 2012. Again, no dates for Miss Lena. The closing of their house was on April 30th, 2013. They moved in immediately afterwards. The home loan was issued in the amount of $392,709. I looked all this shit up myself because it wasn't in the book, and I just thought it goes along what she's talking about here. When Chris and Shanann moved to Colorado, they both got jobs at Longmont Ford dealership in Longmont, Colorado. Chris was a mechanic and Shanann did sales. Miss Lena does not give any dates, but I do know that they moved sometime in 2012. While Penn had worked for Ford, he developed the onset of carpal tunnel in both of his hands. I found out from Discovery during Asshat's pre-polygraph interview that he worked there from 2012 to 2014. I'm not sure how long Shanann worked there, but I did find a few reviews from customers on the Longmont Ford site. They were very positive. This is how they made friends with Jeremy Lindstrom. Jeremy also worked at Longmont Ford, so they started socializing with both him and his wife. While editing this video, I did a little bit more research and I found out that the lady that was friends with Shanann, that she and Chris and shit lived with, her name was Jenna, not Jean. Jenna Dietz, Dietz, and she had actually gotten Dieter for her birthday as a gift, and I don't know the backstory, but they ended up giving the dog to the Watts family, and this is where Dieter got his name, actually from their last name, Dietz, Dietz. And it's my understanding that after this tragedy unfolded, they wanted Dieter back, but he of course went to go live with the Rusicks in North Carolina, so that was a no. Okay, so the friend they lived with, Jenna Dietz, also got Shanann the job at Children's Hospital where she worked in the call center. She was there 3 to 4 years. Shanann worked evening, overnight shifts, weekends, and holidays. In addition to this job, she sold various products on the side, such as 31 bags, unique makeup, LuLaRoe clothing, and eventually Thrive. Penn had said, quote, origami owl and something called it works, and then a couple of other different things, some bags, end quote. This was said in the Wisconsin interview, February 2019. Discovery page 571 says, quote, he said Shanann wanted everyone to think they lived a certain way and they could not afford it. He being Chris and shit. He was never mean or hostile when he mentioned it. He told Nicole that he and Shanann were housebroke all the time. Nicole asked if this lifestyle was sustainable and he said no, end quote. The book says, quote, Chris and Shanann were excited to become parents, documenting the pregnancy on social media and a blog that Shanann created called The Watts Journey. I want to say wrong because I just love doing that. It's fun to point out others' mistakes. But I guess technically Miss Lena is correct. Shanann did have a blog and the web address is thewattsjourney.com. But that's not as fun for me. I'm bored and I have a headache and I want to blow something out of the water like the whole Cadle copycat clusterfuck. The name of the blog was called Journey of Bella Marie. The author has in the chapter almost the blog in its entirety as page filler. I'll link it in the description, but beware. You know when you're at work and someone wants to show you their grandkids that they saw over the weekend and they took like 200 pictures of the same fucking thing and you try and get away, you go get coffee, you sit at your desk and pretend to be on the phone so they just wait for you to finish. And then you even say, I've really got to get back to work. And they're like, well, here, just look at these and then I'll leave you alone. And they fucking don't leave you alone. There is just no end to this wildly uncomfortable exchange. Well, it's kind of like that because she pretty much copy-pasted the blog, as I said, in its entirety. And it's a cute blog, but it's one of those things that first-time parents do. And, for example, there's picture after picture after picture of the ultrasound and every single gift that she got. It honestly gave me a bore headache. And Lob had commented comments and says stupid crap on the blog like, OMG, I was so happy when your mother told me she was pregnant. I felt extremely lucky. I can't wait to meet you in December, end quote. And he's of course speaking to Bella on the blog. And when the first ultrasound was posted on the blog, Chris commented, quote, was a very exciting moment for your mother and I. To be able to see you for the first time was an amazing feeling, end quote. And I know it was, so please don't give me hate. I have 3 kids of my own, I remember. But now I find that kind of stuff boring. And then there's that creepy as fuck picture of him looking at her stomach all bug-eyed and stuff. What is that? It makes me kind of feel like I want to throw up and kick my legs and stuff. And then going back to Shanann's job at Children's Hospital, I saw somewhere, and now I don't remember, so I can't credit it, but I know it was on her Facebook, and a lot of that's been deleted. On July 9th, 2013, Shanann posted, first day at the new job, excited. The location was Children's Hospital, and that, of course, was on her Facebook. And then Bella Marie Watts was born on December 17th, 2013. She's described as being like her father, quote, calm, thoughtful, sweet, nurturing, affectionate, and quiet. I think that was on the blog. There's a lot of missing information from Shanann's Facebook. She used to have a lot more stuff there. Not sure why some of it was deleted, but the births of the 2 girls is just not there on her Facebook anymore. I did find a few things on Bella that transferred to her Twitter, but maybe the family just put it on private, and if they did, I certainly don't blame them. And Shanann did have an Instagram account, and her family shut it down a while back due to trolls posting on the comments. The author writes, quote, the blog also seemed to depict happier times between both sides of the family. There were photos of Shanann with Jamie, who is Chris's sister, at the baby shower in North Carolina, and of all the gifts with which both sets of grandparents were showering Bella. After a lot of heartache and pain in Shanann's life, things seemed to be finally working out for her, end quote. Discovery says Shanann used fertility drugs with both Bella and Cece. Shanann was not using any fertility drugs when she got pregnant with their 3rd child. They only, quote-unquote, tried twice when Shanann got pregnant with their son. Shanann believes she got pregnant because she was using Thrive and had a much healthier lifestyle. This is according to Kristen Schitt and the Discovery. Quote, Celeste Catherine was conceived with fertility treatments not too long after Bella. Chris acted thrilled at the idea of another child. Shanann loved surprises and grand gestures, so she put an eviction notice on Bella's crib and secretly filmed Chris's reaction when he came home from work and saw the exciting news. Chris seemed elated in the video footage, end quote. Celeste was born July 17, 2015. Cece, as they fondly nicknamed her, also had the nickname Rampage because she was so over the top with energy. Cece had an ear-to-ear grin that took over her entire face, end quote. Yes, that little cherub just loved to make her family laugh. The author continues, quote, both pregnancies were rough on Shanann, but carrying Celeste was more challenging. Not only would the next pregnancy exacerbate her lupus, but having a little toddler at home while having a stressful pregnancy was no easy feat. Also, even though Bella and Cece were so different in personality, they quickly became the best of friends. They adored each other and did everything together, end quote. And yes, I agree, they were clearly the best of friends. They always clung to each other and were holding hands and hugging. While searching for info on Shanann's lupus and the Discovery as it related to her pregnancies, I found this that is very compelling, and I had forgotten about it. Discovery page 1494 is an attorney that Shanann spoke to while at a hibachi-style restaurant in April 2018. She quizzed him about divorce with many questions. Quote, he remembered Shanann Watts talking about wanting to have another child, but expressed concern for her health because the last time she was pregnant she had issues with her lupus flaring up, end quote. This is the only place I found about her lupus flaring during pregnancy. This little tidbit that I had forgotten about, it speaks volumes to me. Apparently Chris and Shanann had been discussing divorce, also a new baby, and they were behind on the mortgage. This is clusterfuckery at its finest. Clusterfuckery is the resulting hot-ass mess due to ineptitude and inability to plan one's affairs efficiently. As a consequence, you wind up with a disgraceful, bungling mess of shit. This, of course, can be shortened to cluster when you're in a place where polite conversation is required, like in church. Quote, Shanann had difficulties while pregnant. Her parents moved in with them temporarily to help, end quote. Chris described Shanann and Sandy as two dominant personalities and that they would butt heads. That they lived with them for 16 months and in February 2017 moved out. This sentence in the book makes no sense. Quote, Shanann and Chris were still working to pay bills and keep their house in North Carolina and were in Frederick for a total of 15 months, end quote. I believe she meant to say Frank and Sandy. In the Wisconsin interview, CW referred to this as a period of stress due to he and Shanann not having much time alone. He said it was quite the full house with Frank and Sandy's dogs, Dieter, 4 adults, and 2 small children. He said Frank had warned him it was best to let Sandy sleep in the mornings, so he felt as if he were walking on eggshells to keep the kids upstairs. Maybe they shouldn't have gone to bed so early, just saying. But nonetheless, they were a huge help to Chris and Shanann, and they were very loyal and devoted grandparents. Sometimes Shanann and Sandy would have words over what was best for the children. CW mentioned in his Wisconsin interview sometimes Sandy would give peculiar advice, such as, quote, just put some peroxide on the bottoms of their feet and they will be just fine, end quote. In January of 2016, Shanann decided to focus on Lavelle as a full-time venture because it gave her more flexibility of being a stay-at-home parent while still bringing in an income. She sold Thrive, which is, well, according to their website, quote, the Thrive experience is an 8-week premium lifestyle plan to help individuals experience and reach peak physical and mental levels. Results from the Thrive experience are high impact and can differ slightly from person to person, depending on your 8-week goal and which areas of your lifestyle need the most help, end quote. Their website mentions nothing about it being an MLM or a pyramid scheme, but many beg to differ if you do your own research. Miss Lena says, quote, when she recruited more promoters to sell products, they worked underneath her in typical pyramid fashion. Shanann was fully committed to Thrive and was doing well with it. She had earned a car allowance and that went toward monthly payments for a Lexus, lifestyle getaway, trips to locations such as San Diego and Puerto Vallarta, end quote. She does have some badass pictures on her Facebook from all of these lifestyle getaways. It seems as if she had a flipping blast. However, all that loudness and fanfare does not appeal to me. I don't even want people to talk to me most of the time. I like my quiet. So I don't think Thrive would be for me or being a Thrive promoter. Just saying. Shanann often boasted on her Facebook Lives that she loved working only for herself and that she could focus on being a good mother to her girls while bringing in an income. Thrive was often credited for her being a good mother, first as a quality product and secondly because she was thriving as a business person. Quote, Chris had left his job as a mechanic and started working as a field operator at Anadarko Petroleum. Anadarko offered good health benefits, a decent salary, and the work didn't aggravate Chris's carpal tunnel issues, end quote. This is only partly true. In 2014, Chris worked for Covenant Testing Technologies as an oil field contractor. In January of 2015, he was hired to work at Anadarko. This is according to Discovery page 581. Miss Lena tells us that life was good for the Watts, but not without its stresses. Shanann had surgery on her neck for a compressed disc, and the girls had a multitude of their own health issues. Cece had allergies, and both had surgeries for tubes in their ears March 2018, and both girls also had their adenoids removed. Discovery page 453 says, Christina Meekum told me she has known Shanann Watts for approximately 14 years, and they used to work together in North Carolina previously. Meekum said she flew out to Colorado in August 2017 and stayed with Shanann Watts in the Watts home for 2 months while Shanann Watts was recovering from a surgery. Meekum described her perception was that the Watts family had financial problems. Meekum said the Watts were living above their means and that Shanann Watts was concerned about the expense of buying food during the recent period that Meekum lived with them. The chapter reads, quote, "The cost of Shanann's surgery, the girls' medical procedures, medications, and private school tuition at the Primrose School put the couple in financial trouble. They filed for bankruptcy in 2015. Reporting $448,000 in debt. Their credit cards were maxed out. At the time of Shanann's death, they would be 3 months behind in mortgage payments, and Shanann had taken $10,000 out of Chris's 401k plan to catch up on those payments," end quote. I just want to say, if it's Chris's 401k plan, Shanann cannot take money out of that. Chris would have to, but I see what she's saying, but she's making it sound like it was all Shanann in my eyes. Chris says a lot of the bankruptcy was credit card charges from their wedding, in addition to medical bills. He said this during his Wisconsin interview in February 2019. Miss Lena doesn't give enough dates to keep shit straight, so I will, and I'll provide them where needed to make the story move along fluidly and shit. It must have been exhausting to keep up this perfect lifestyle in the married couple Ken and Barbie masquerade. She says that they were stressed about money, but to outsiders looking in, it was hard to tell. Shanann dreamed big and loved nice things. She kept the house clean and organized and was a good cook. She loved coordinating the family's outfits, but I think that with the color coding of the matching their outfits and shit is just a bit much. That's just me. She also painted the home in bright colors that just so happen to match the Thrive colors. I wonder if this is by design. I found this on True Crime Case Analysis home blog. I'll put that website in the description. I found it to be quite interesting. Some of you may be turned off by this blog, but she raises some valid points. I never thought of this, the Thrive colors, until she mentioned it. And I did notice that Shanann loved bright colors. I'm more of a neutral person myself. I know, I'm boring. Shanann posted often, or rather all the fucking time, on Facebook about her seemingly idyllic life. I notice much of it is gone now from public view. If you go to the True Crime Case Analysis blog, you'll find a lot of these old posts that are now missing. But please be warned and don't start hollering at me and trying to tell me off. Some of the things said by the blog creator are not always flattering to Shanann, but I like that she gives reasons for her thoughts and conclusions, and I just in general like reading different perspectives. Plus it's a great source of pictures that are not found anywhere else now. She has a lot of things there that have been removed from Shanann's Facebook. I'll link it in the description for those that wish to peruse the site. Jennifer Lindstrom said on Discovery page 462 that Shanann is an avid Facebook poster to the point that some people felt that it was overkill. Jennifer said that Shanann would make numerous posts per day, including promoting her Thrive business. Jennifer said that Shanann liked to share everything, and it was very unusual when she hadn't posted anything on Facebook. She's referring to the day that Shanann and the girls, quote-unquote, went missing. The Watts family seemed by all accounts to be totally in love, says Miss Lena. Chris has always been credited up until the time of his family's deaths, but he was always credited with being a very loving, caring, and hands-on father. He was proud of the girls and bragged about them to friends and co-workers. He would wake first in the mornings and lay out vitamins for Shanann and the girls, and he would write inspirational notes and just kind words on the pill packs. Shanann just heaped the praise praise on Chris and shit to high heaven on social media. She would often post something special for things like Father's Day, their anniversary, his birthday, and sometimes just out of the blue. I'm surprised she didn't throw bouquets of flowers at his nasty, smelly feet. She pretty much worshipped him, and she was madly in love. I know she was. It wasn't an act, I could tell. No wonder Nikki went after him. Don't tell me she didn't see this shit on Facebook, and Shanann would post these living testimonies to what a great catch he was. Miss Lena says, quote, "Many people roll their eyes at proclamations like these on social media. Yes, Jeremy Lindstrom was one of those. It's true that people who are overly saccharine are often embellishing or portraying an image they want others to believe rather than the reality. However, in Shanann's case, she seemed like she really believed she had won the lottery with her husband. There didn't seem to be any secret abuse behind closed doors. Shanann felt she genuinely had a happy, loving, and affectionate marriage," end quote. I agree. Quote, "Chris had always wanted a son, and because he was always so hands-on and helpful, Shanann agreed to try for a third child. Chris probably imagined a relationship with his son that was like the relationship he had with his own father," end quote. Miss Lena describes the infamous "Oops, we did it again" video. Quote, "This pregnancy video was just one of many examples of Chris's phony acting," end quote. And yeah, this just so happened to be the exact time he and Nikki were flirting, and it was getting heavier and heavier. He's such an asshole, lame brain, worthless waste of space, piece of shit, lowlife, wild rabies-laden animal, cockwomble, fuckwad bungling douchebag, fuckface bumbling, incompetent crackhead buffoon, inferior bitch, inconsiderate bastard, arrogant, uncaring, selfish, borderline sadistic, apathetic, mean, spiteful, dishonorable piece of chicken shit. Quote, "On June 12th, one day after Shanann's pregnancy announcement on Facebook, Chris received an email from Nikki. In the email, she thanked Chris for being so honest with her and told him that truthfulness was underrated. Chris responded with a brazenly forward email. He told Nikki he was a straightforward guy who didn't like lying," end quote. Oh my God, what a lying piece of shit. Neither one of them would know truthfulness and honesty if it bit them on the ass. I think they're both dead from the neck up. The chapter ends with the flirty emails between Chris and Shit, and he of course is that douche at work who has the fucked up head and the lonely female he found at work who just so happened to not have any self-respect, who willingly subjected herself to the marginal attention of this very married lion-ass man with a pregnant wife. And they talked about karma. And we all know that karma is what? That's right, it's a bitch. So if you do something shitty or fucked up, what should you expect in return? Something unfortunate, or some discomfort or unhappiness. But in this case, Nikki, it was some ruined, fucked up, shitty shit that you should have known better. You fucked up big time. Nothing new in this chapter either. It's dull, agonizingly repetitive, and tedious, and she needs to include dates and more details. It did, however, bring up the talk of divorce with a dinner mate who happened to be an attorney. That one's not been discussed too much. Miss Lena did not mention it in the chapter, but it led me to research lupus during pregnancy, which brought me to that attorney. And that will be the end of this video. I will pick up with chapter 11 in the next one. Thank you for listening.
Throw up a couple of pictures here that I think really, like you said, they all of a sudden you start to see, look, we've been living Shanann's life, but now we're starting to live these children's lives with the posts that go back so far. I want to take you through her progression videos. Shanann's pregnancy, she goes through from 12 weeks pregnant right through to 30 32. You can just see the difference. Like, she was so good about chronicling this and showing every single step of the way. This is all with Bella. I should let you know that this is all the pregnancy with Bella back in 2013. And it was July through October. And eventually Bella was born December 17th in 2013. And let me just read you this post about the day they found out that they are pregnant, because I think it's very telling. The day we found out we were pregnant with you, April 16th, 2013. And the pictures of the test there. And Chris makes a comment, and he says, OMG, I was so happy when your mother told me she was pregnant. I felt extremely lucky. I can't wait to meet you in December. And then Shanann also posts going to a baseball game. And once again, Chris comments. Shanann says, Bella's first Rockies game, 18 weeks and 2 days. And Chris Watts says, we had a good time at the game. Your mom had a soda and cotton candy, and she said she felt you kicking like crazy. This is sort of like almost communicating with the growing little baby in his wife's stomach. And you think about what he's accused of doing right now with the growing little baby in his wife's stomach. He's accused of murdering that baby as well this summer. Let me bring in Tom Verney on something, because I know how, Pat, you feel about it, but as a police officer, I want to know how an investigator looks at this stuff. Do you pore over these pages looking for clues, or is it just sort of the emotional stuff that the lawyers will handle at trial?
Well, good evening. And yeah, the lawyers are definitely going to use that. The defense attorney will use it for whatever they feel it'll be advantageous for their case. The prosecutors may use it as well. You know, we definitely want to look at all the social media that they have out there. Nowadays, a lot of people do have their personal lives out there for everyone to see, right? And you can sometimes tell pretty quickly, based on people's daily or weekly posts, how their relationships are doing, right? You know, and some people during a fight will broadcast that out to their family and friends and maybe even to the public.
So you'll grab one of these posts if you see something that stands out as aggressive or out of the ordinary. You'll grab that, you'll turn it over to the prosecutors and say, we found this in our investigation, you might want to have a look.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the sense that we want to see if there's been a history, maybe there was some domestic abuse that no one was aware of prior to this.
Yeah, we haven't seen that. Let me keep going. Just on that vein, it's like the polar opposite. Here's Daddy's first project for you, Shanann posts, and it looks like it's obviously a high chair disassembled. And Chris has a comment. He says, it was rather easy. Your mom helped me. Again, this is communicating to Bella. It's their posts to Bella. And then Shanann posts, your daddy was sweetly reading a parenting magazine on our first visit to see you. This is May 9th, 2013. And clearly it looks like they are at the doctor. She's going to get a checkup. And Chris puts a comment in saying, you can learn a lot from those magazines. And then August 2nd, 2013, there's just a text, but it's interesting. It's titled Kicking. Chris got to feel Bella kick tonight for the first time. He thought it was amazing. Yeah. And then on August 6th, just 4 days later, she has a post about the Bruno Mars concert, saying your very first concert, and you danced all night long. Felt like you were fist pumping in my belly. Your dad and I would stop dancing and singing to feel you. It was the best feeling in the world. We absolutely love feeling you kick and move. We cannot wait to meet you. We had so much fun at the concert. Bruno Mars put on a fantastic show. You already love music. Love you, Bella. See you soon. And clearly they had already chosen that name in August, and that baby wasn't even due until December. So then here's this romantic post, a dinner date for Daddy and I. This is posted on September 5th. 2013. 24.5 weeks here. We went to Pinocchio's, one of my favorite places, and they have a huge gluten-free menu. You kicked 17 times while I was eating caprese salad, and then kicked the entire night while I ate. You were very active. I'm going to take that as your favorite will be Italian food, too. Love you.